How did you originally get into exercise in the first place?
Yeah. I was really interested in exercise from the time I was a little kid. So, I can remember literally being 3, 4 years old. My father was a police officer in the town that we grew up in, and he also coached Golden Gloves boxing for amateur boxing for 30 plus years. And so when we were 3, 4 years old, my brothers and I would go with my dad to the boxing gym, which was above the police station. So we'd follow my dad there. All the boxers would be working out. And in addition to the heavy bags and the sparring ring and so forth, there was weight equipment. And so I just grew up watching my dad either coach the boxers or do his own workout. And he never missed a workout. Now, 30 some years later, I understand that most of his workout wasn't very logical, but he never missed a workout. So I was raised thinking this is just what a guy did, is a guy worked out. And so when I got into middle school and high school, I was very interested in strength training to prepare for football, and I loved playing football, and I boxed competitively. So I loved lifting weights as much as I loved playing those sports. And then I had the opportunity to do what was called the mentor program. So it was a program in our high school where the last 2 periods of your day, you would go spend it with someone in the field that you wanted to get into. And we had maybe just 9 or 10 students that did this program, and some worked with a photographer and some worked with a veterinarian. I thought, well, I want to be a strength and conditioning coach. So I wrote a letter, it wasn't an email, it was a letter at the time, to the strength and conditioning coach for the Minnesota Vikings. And his name was Steve Wetzel, and to my utter shock, he said, yep, I'll take you on. So I spent my entire senior year of high school spending the last 2 periods in the day going to the Vikings training facility, and he would take me through one-on-one workouts. He put together classroom sessions where it was just he and I in a classroom, and he would go through fundamentals of resistance exercise, and that's where I got introduced to kind of what we would call high-intensity training today. He got me away from doing all the dumb things that, of course, we all did at some point, to understanding that we could do 1 set on each exercise, and that we didn't need to train 5 times out of the week, and that we could use machines or free weights. My first Nautilus machine I ever trained on was at the Vikings facility. So he's what opened my eyes, or he's who opened my eyes to kind of what I would call intelligent, evidence-based, high-intensity training.
What an amazing opportunity. Not only did you get to work for a team in the NFL, to have the experience of shadowing somebody in a team in the NFL, it also coincidentally happened, which you didn't know at the time, happened to be coming from a high-intensity training perspective.
Absolutely.
So it's like the stars aligned. And then, do I understand it right that you ended up working there as well afterwards?
So the next year I went to university and college, and by my sophomore year, my second year of college, he approached me and just said, hey, we always have 3 part-time assistants. I have 2 of them already, and I have a stack of resumes on my desk for the 3rd one, and if you want that 3rd position, it's all yours. And so I said, absolutely. I adjusted my course load so I could take courses where it didn't interfere with when we needed to be in the weight room and working with players, and so it was just great experience. And frankly, I went through my undergraduate degree learning, about exercise science in an academic setting, and then getting to apply it every day with all of our players. So it was just the richest learning environment. And then I was learning and applying, and I had great colleagues and mentors to discuss what I was learning and applying. So it was, by the time I was 22 years old and was done with college, I had tremendous amount of experience and felt like I kind of knew what I wanted to do, or at least what I wanted to pursue next.
As a 22-year-old, how easy is it to work with some of the biggest men in professional sports?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I learned pretty quickly is that you had to present yourself as an adult and as a professional. And so, I was 19 years old when I was first earning a paycheck with them, but they all thought I was 25 years old. I had a coach tell me, Luke, you're 19 going on 40. And at the time, I thought that was a compliment. Now I'm 39 years old today, so I realized, okay, not everybody wants to be 40. But at the time, I thought, okay, that means I'm at least presenting myself professionally, or I'm mature. And that mattered because the player needed to look at you as a coach, and they needed to look at you as somewhat of an authority figure. So it worked well for me. And it was interesting because I looked at the players as being adults and being so much older. And now I look at it as, I mean, if I were in the NFL, I would be the oldest guy in the NFL. I mean, they're all, 22, 23, 28 years old. If you're 32 years old in the NFL, you're considered old. So,
what happened after your time with the Minnesota Vikings? Did you start Discover straight away, or was there a transition period?
There's a little bit of a transition period. So by the time I was done with my undergraduate degree, I was working for the Vikings in the morning, and then one of the Vikings' former assistant strength coaches had opened up a personal training studio. And at the time, in 1999, personal training studios were not, they didn't exist. Nowadays we have studios and boutiques of all different exercise modalities everywhere, but this was a new concept. And so the strength coach for the Vikings had told me, hey, you should go meet with this guy. His name was Steve Ritz. And so I went, and I was his first ever employee. And so I would go work for the Vikings for 4 or 5 hours in the morning, and then I would take classes during the day, and then I would go personal train and work with clients in the evening at his studio. And so when I graduated at 22, I knew I either wanted to be a strength coach in the NFL for the rest of my life, try to become a head strength coach in the NFL, or I wanted to get a PhD and become a research scientist at a large research university. Those were the two options. So I started going to graduate school right away, full time, kept working for the Vikings, kept personal training on the side. I was also at the time the high school strength coach of the biggest high school in my area in Minnesota. And we had wonderful equipment. I remember I was sitting in Arthur Jones's family room when I got the phone call from the football coach that I worked with saying he was going to move to this new high school, and he had made the decision, and I knew if he moved there that we were going to get to spend a lot of money on equipment. So I had just trained on my first Med-X machine earlier that day, and we bought 10 Med-X machines at the time, 10 Med-X Avenger machines additionally, which were the plate-loaded machines, and all in all, 66 brand new machines for this facility that I ran, and worked with athletes of all kinds. So I did that 22, 23, 24. By the time I'm 24, I know that I want to start a business. We opened the first location when I was 26. So I spent a full 2 years kind of developing business plan, visiting different fitness facilities of all kinds all around the U.S. and kind of preparing. And we launched in 2006 when I was 26 years old.